Beneath the crushing weight of the sea, 730 women live in silence and steel. Their world is narrow. Corridors of metal, air recycled until it hums with electricity, bunks stacked like aluminum coffins. For months at a time, they share this confined space with 150 men, sealed away from sunlight, wind, and everything human except each other. But these women aren't captives. They're America's silent guardians, serving in the most isolated branch of the military. The USS New Jersey just made history as the first submarine built from the ground up for men and women together. And here's what few ever realize. Female submariners now outperform men, 75% to 74%. Deep below the waves, they've proven that endurance isn't measured by muscle, but by will. How do they do it? How do women survive and thrive where even sunlight cannot reach? This is Submarine Shadow, where light never reaches, but stories still surface. It's not just about serving underwater. It's about surviving. Mentally, physically, emotionally. In a world built from pressure and silence. In 2010, the United States Navy lifted a century-old barrier. For the first time, women were allowed to serve aboard submarines. 14 years later, 730 of them live and work beneath the waves, stationed across 38 submarines, sharing steel corridors and recycled air with crews of up to 150 men. They are officers, engineers, navigators, and weapons specialists. Part of a force that never sees sunlight, yet guards the light of freedom for millions. Life below is nothing like life above. The submarine is less a vessel and more a steel labyrinth, sealed from the world. Its walls breathe with vibration. Every few seconds, a low hum rolls through the decks. The pulse of nuclear power keeping hundreds alive. The air is warm, metallic, heavy with recycled oxygen and diesel scent. When the last hatch seals, the crew enters a new planet. One measured not by days or nights, but by watch shifts and machine rhythms. Privacy disappears. Space dissolves. Rooms become passageways. A sailor's entire universe shrinks to a rack the size of a coffin and a locker the depth of a shoebox. The sound of a closing bulkhead door echoes through the ship like thunder. Sleep is short, meals are fast, and laughter, rare but real, cuts through the monotony like light through deep water. Every routine aboard is ritual, every movement rehearsed. Wake up, check systems, eat, train, drill, repeat. Outside, there's only darkness and silence. Inside, the hum of machinery never stops. Each sailor knows their role down to the breath, because a single mistake could cost every life on board. It's a world of shared air and shared purpose. Like living in a small apartment building you can never leave, where everyone breathes the same oxygen, shares the same mission, and depends on each other completely. There are no vacations, no breaks. Only rotation. 8 hours on duty, 8 hours off, 8 hours in the in-between. But here's what sets them apart. They chose this life. Every person on board volunteered. No one is drafted into the deep. That decision, to trade sunlight for silence, comfort for confinement, is what binds them together. It's what turns a crew into a family and a submarine into something sacred, a living, breathing organism of courage and control. And yet, beneath the discipline and order, tension is always there. Quiet, waiting. In a world this small, pressure doesn't just come from the ocean outside. It builds within. Down here, silence isn't peace. It's pressure. Every second is measured in hums, alarms, and the weight of steel holding back the sea. For most sailors, the challenge is endurance. 4 women aboard, It's adaptation. The submarine was never designed for them. Valves, levers, and periscopes were placed for the average male height. Tools built for larger hands. Doors heavier than some could lift alone. In the early years, they learned to adjust. Adding steps beneath control panels, using teamwork to move the gear that once resisted them. What began as physical struggle became quiet innovation. They didn't ask for different rules. They learned how to master the old ones. Each woman here carries 2 uniforms, one that bears her rank, and another invisible one. Expectation. The history stitched into these walls once excluded them. Before 2010, women were forbidden from even stepping aboard. 14 years later, they've gone from being banned to being trusted with the ocean's most secret missions. That journey didn't come without scars. Life below isn't gentle. The air is recycled, the temperature constant, the hours endless. Claustrophobia creeps in, not as panic but as exhaustion. A fatigue that lives behind the eyes. Crew rotations blur. 3 shifts, 24 hours a day. Sleep when you can, if you can. Dreams fade into the hum of turbines and sonar pings. When space runs out, patience becomes oxygen. One careless word can spark tension. One moment of weakness can ripple through the whole crew. And trust. Down here, it's everything. You eat together, sleep inches apart, breathe the same air. There's nowhere to hide. When isolation deepens, even silence feels loud. It tests not just muscle, but mind. The first years of integration revealed the hardest truth. Not everyone accepted change. Between 2011 and 2015, hidden cameras were discovered in showers and changing rooms. Crimes born of betrayal, not curiosity. Those moments nearly broke the program. The same way a crack threatens a hull. But leadership moved fast. Commanders called it what it was, a breach of trust. The Navy declared zero tolerance. Training intensified. Harassment prevention became part of qualification. The message was clear. Integrity is the only pressure strong enough to hold this ship together. For the women who stayed, respect wasn't given. It was earned, shift by shift, drill by drill. They stood their watch, fixed machinery, launched torpedoes, endured drills that simulated fire and flood in total darkness. They didn't want special treatment. They wanted recognition as submariners, equal under the same crushing weight of the sea. Down here, courage doesn't shout. It whispers through discipline, through calm hands turning valves that could save lives, through steady breathing when alarms scream and the room tilts under simulated damage. The greatest test isn't fear, it's control. And yet, beneath all the order, something else grows. Trust rebuilt, stronger than before. The kind forged not by gender, but by survival. Still, the sea doesn't care who you are. The ocean is the same for everyone. Merciless, patient, waiting. And when pressure rises, it finds every weakness, inside and out. Because down here, the line between survival and failure is thinner than a sheet of steel. Do you think courage looks different between men and women under pressure? Down here, in the quiet below the waves, something remarkable happened. The story stopped being about survival and became about excellence. For years, people doubted whether women could endure the same crushing routine, the same pressure, the same isolation that defined life beneath the sea. But the numbers tell a story stronger than doubt. Female officers now hold a 29% retention rate for department head positions, higher than their male counterparts. Among enlisted crews, 75% re-enlist, compared to 74% of men. Small margins, perhaps. But they mean everything in a world where precision defines survival. These aren't exceptions. Their evolution. The deeper truth is that they didn't just adapt to the submarine world. They reshaped it. They learned the rhythms of steel and current, turned routine into mastery, and turned adversity into performance. In the dark, they found focus. In the silence, they found strength. In the dark, they found each other. A Chief Logistics Specialist Samantha Mincy knows that transformation firsthand. When she joined the Navy 16 years ago, women weren't even allowed on submarines. "I never thought I'd serve below the surface," she once said. Now, she leads as the senior enlisted female on a submarine crew. Proof that dedication can rewrite policy and patience can bend steel. Then there's Lieutenant Victoria Meyer, who traded the sky for the sea. She once dreamed of being a pilot, but the submarine's unseen world called her deeper. When she first boarded, there were only 2 women aboard the USS New Jersey. Now, there are many more, not because someone made room for them, but because they earned it. She describes her crew as the reason I wear dolphins with pride. It's not about gender, it's about belonging. Their success reached a milestone the world almost missed. The USS Wyoming completed the first all-female deterrent patrol in U.S. submarine history. 15 women, from junior sailors to senior chiefs, serving 6 months underwater with a 100% mission success rate. No accidents, no failures. Oh, no drama. Just quiet, professional excellence. Beneath the waves, they didn't just survive. They set a new standard. It's here that the submarine steel begins to mean something different. It's no longer a symbol of confinement, but of unity. The hull that traps them also holds them together. Every sound, the hydraulic hiss, the hum of turbines, the slow breathing of the ship itself, becomes the rhythm of teamwork. Rank fades, gender disappears. All that remains is competence and trust. And the system noticed. Modern submarines like the USS New Jersey and the upcoming Columbia-class boats are being designed from the start to accommodate everyone, not as a favor, as a function. Doors replaced curtains, valves repositioned, step stools added beneath periscopes, medical kits updated for all needs. It's engineering meeting equality, precision meeting purpose. Inside the submarine community, something even greater changed. The culture. What began as a question of fairness evolved into a new definition of excellence. Integrated crews consistently outperform single-gender ones in training drills and crisis simulations. Communication improves. Coordination tightens. The mission becomes the focus. It's no longer men versus women. It's professionals versus the deep. In the stillness between shifts, when the hum fades and the lights dim to blue, that's when the truth becomes clear. They're not divided by who they are, but united by what they give. Sacrifice isn't gendered. Purpose isn't owned. Down here, character is the only compass that matters. When the crew surfaces after months of darkness, the first sunlight doesn't just hit their faces. It reflects off what they've become. Not pioneers, not anomalies, but submariners. Proven, capable, equal. They return carrying something invisible but unmistakable, pride earned in pressure. Because down here, honor doesn't sound like applause. It sounds like silence well kept. And as the submarine glides home through the gray Atlantic, its hull carries more than weapons or data. It carries proof. Proof that courage can be quiet, that excellence can be shared, and that beneath the crushing weight of the sea, humanity still shines. What keeps you going when hope runs out? They were never meant to be symbols. They never asked to make history. They simply wanted to serve, to do the job, to stand the watch, to be part of something greater than themselves. And somewhere deep beneath the surface, in the hum of engines and the pulse of pressure, they prove something the world needed to remember. Courage has no gender. These aren't stories about women who survived despite the odds. They're stories about submariners who excelled because of their skill, their discipline, and their will. Every dive, every shift, every mission they completed rewrote quiet pages of naval history, not with slogans or speeches, but with results. They showed that the ocean doesn't care who you are. It only answers to those who endure. In 2028, the U.S. Navy will appoint its first female submarine commanding officer. She'll take the helm of a vessel carrying over 100 lives, leading them into the depths. Not as a novelty, but as a commander. That moment won't just mark progress. It will mark continuity. The passing of courage from one generation to the next. Because what began as an experiment has become a legacy, a tradition of quiet excellence, built by those who chose duty over comfort, service over recognition, each of them part of a lineage defined not by gender, but by character, competence, and courage. And that's the truth the ocean keeps. Equality isn't spoken. It's proven. Every mission demands sacrifice. Birthdays missed, voices unheard, sunlight forgotten. Yet those who descend beneath the waves do so willingly. They leave behind the noise of the world to guard it in silence. They pay the price of peace with isolation, fatigue, and trust. Because someone must. And while most of us live freely under open skies, they live beneath them, unseen, so that we can. Down here, freedom doesn't sound like cheers. It sounds like the hum of engines in the dark. It feels like trust sealed behind steel doors. It looks like light reflected on the surface, from depths no one ever sees. When they surface after months of silence, the sunlight feels almost foreign. Too bright, too loud, too alive. But behind every salute, every handshake, every quiet welcome home lies something sacred, the acknowledgement of those who served where few ever could. The next time the ocean seems still, remember, beneath that calm are stories of endurance, humanity, and unshakable faith. Stories written not in ink, but in breath and pressure. Stories of sailors, men and women, who guard the invisible edges of freedom. This is their legacy. This is their honor. And this is our reminder that true strength is not about who you are, but what you're willing to give. This is Submarine Shadow, where light never reaches, but stories still surface. Which part of this story moved you most? The silence or the sacrifice?